Hey everybody out there in the YO universe, this is Survivor 2002 coming at you again from a secret lair in Virginia, and welcome to week 5 of So You Think You Can Dance. I'm calling this the Dance to Dance nights because we're down to 6 couples, and this will be the first of probably a series of evenings where each couple is going to be required to perform not one, but 2 different dances. As if they weren't exhausted and frustrated and bruised and banged up enough, they're gonna really put the screws to them now, and they're gonna see who can rise to the occasion. So let's see who managed to do that last night and who didn't. By the way, before I get started, I wanted to congratulate all of you, the viewers, for figuring out exactly how to keep your favorites in last week. Because as we discussed before, there was some choreography that was, shall we say, questionable. And I think the fans looked at that and went, oh hell no. I'm not letting my favorites go because of something that they got that was absolutely stinking like a pair of gym socks sitting in a corner for 2 weeks. So yeah, they voted in droves, managed to keep the favorites in, and as a result, we lost VITOLIO and KARLA last week. So that knocked it down to 6, and our 6 performed last night, and let's see how they did. What I'll do is run it down by the sequences since they did the first dances during the first hour, second dances during the second hour. So with Nigel, Mary, and guest judge Tyce DiOrio watching, the first thing that happened for hour 1 was Melissa and Ade let it off doing a DORIANA SANCHEZ disco number to Move On Up, a remake of Curtis Mayfield's classic hit by Destination. Number 2 was KAYLA and KUPONO doing a stunning Mia Michaels contemporary number to Gravity by Sarah Bareilles, if that's the way you pronounce her name. Number 3 was Caitlin and Jason doing a Tony Meredith Foxtrot to Minnie the Moocher by Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. Number 4 was JEANINE and PHILLIP, who were attempting to do a Russian folk dance number, the Kalinka, choreographed by Youri, Nelzine, and Lilia Babenko, to the song Kalinka by Barrionuevo. Number 5 was RANDI and Evan with a hip-hop number choreographed by Napoleon and Tabitha, aka Nappytabs, as Mia likes to call them affectionately, to Halo by Beyonce. And wrapping up hour 1 was Brandon and Janette with a hot tango choreographed by Leonardo, Barrionuevo, and Miriam Larici to Tango from the Forever Tango Broadway soundtrack. Okay, the good thing, the real good thing about having 2 dances is that if you screw up on one, you can redeem yourself, hopefully, with the second one. And people last night definitely needed to have that opportunity. Melissa and Ade were not one of the couples that needed that. They were pretty good with the disco. And DORIANA Sanchez does not do easy disco numbers, as Brandon and Janette found out before, since they did the fastest one in So You Think You Can Dance history. And Melissa and Ade did not even come close to having to do what they did, but they did a good job though, so I don't think that Dance 1 is going to find them in danger of going anywhere. KAYLA and KUPONO did a Mia Michaels number, which was absolutely breathtaking. If you've known anybody with an addiction or even struggled with one yourself, I think that dance hit home for a lot of people. It was a stunning example of how a dance can really translate into something a lot more than just 2 people throwing each other around on stage. But I would like to think that KAYLA and KUPONO will be safe for that, but we'll see how they did in hour 2. Caitlin and Jason, I love the concept and I love seeing the Foxtrot dance. It's a very classic dance going back to Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers and all those wonderful dances back from the 30s. But I don't know, there was just something about that was a little bit off. I don't want to say it was clumsy, but I've seen it done better. It wasn't quite up to the bar that's been set by other people who have done the Foxtrot. So I don't know for Caitlin and Jason, but we'll see how they did in hour 2. Jeanine and PHILLIP, okay, you're supposed to rise to the occasion to anything that's thrown at you. I think the judges weren't expecting them to draw a Russian folk dance of all things, and it's kind of tough to know whether or not they did it correctly, but it didn't look like it. So if the voting was based solely on ability and on technique, I think that Jeanine and PHILLIP would have a lot to worry about. Good thing that PHILLIP does have a pretty sizable following, otherwise, who knows. Number 5, Randy and Evan. I didn't really like what Nappytabs did with them, and I'm not sure I appreciated that because it seemed like they were dumbing it down for them. Okay, I understand. Randy and Evan are not the most gangsta couple on So You Think You Can Dance. I don't think there is one that can actually fit that definition. But I think any other couple would be expected to rise to whatever got thrown at them in terms of hip hop, and I think that both of them were more than capable of doing like a Shane Sparks or Lil C kind of number, because they would expect a lot more out of them and not try to, oh, it was storytelling and the way they did it was so sweet and so nice. Yeah, okay, that's true, but these are two very accomplished dancers and they've definitely demonstrated that. And I think rather than asking them for more, the choreographer should have given them a lot more to work with. So thank goodness that Randy and Evan have one of the bigger followings on the show. I don't think they're going to be in any trouble, but if it were any other couple, I'd be worried. And I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't draw Lil C or Shane Sparks for hip hop, because then we could have seen something really remarkable if they'd been able to push them to another level, which they weren't. So, well, we'll see how they did in hour 2. Brandon and Janette, I found their tango to be a little iffy in some ways, although the judges gave them a standing ovation. They were able to do at least a halfway decent tango because Leonardo and Miriam showed people how it was done in the very first results show about 6 weeks ago. I mean, they were amazing. I'd never seen a tango that dead solid perfect before, except maybe performed by the professional dancers on Dancing with the Stars, the rival show. But Brandon and Janette also are real big favorites of the judges, so I don't think they're going to be in any trouble either. But in terms of what they could have done with that, they could have done a lot more, although they weren't questioned on that. The judges just said, you know, perfect, perfect, perfect. What are you going to do? So I guess they're going to be here to stay for a while.